Hey all, welcome to my channel. Uh, it's that time. The Knicks came back. I don't want to say the Knicks came back, but they had a pretty impressive win yesterday against the Boston Celtics. I mean, honestly, they were up by 8 with a couple minutes to go, and they let the Celtics come back considerably. But then again, I honestly didn't think the Knicks were going to win the game. And honestly, when they went into overtime, I'm like, okay, great. They're going to lose in overtime again as well, of course. But surprisingly, they came out with the win, which is good. Now the real question is now it's like close to that time of the year trade deadline. Knicks have quite a number of players. Some of them are at the end of their final year. Some of them are um, someone you want to keep, basically, or do you want to retain? Basically, it's based on where the Knicks are right now. Randall's playing really well. Uh, and with Brunson as the addition, they're doing really well now. So Brunson and Randall, with of course Barrett, could help out, and Topin, if Thibodeau can actually use Topin properly, then it might work out as well too. To be quite honest. And then of course beside Topin, there's like Fournier now. The question is, what do you do with Fournier? He's like pretty much in the doghouse in a way. So it'd be great if they could trade him, but I have a feeling they're not going to be able to. They'll just have to let it be. Basically, Derrick Rose. The question is, what do you do with him? Honestly, you need that veteran leadership on the bench to help him out. I think he's recognizing his role too. I mean, granted, 10 years ago he was amazing, and now after that injury, now he's like where he's at right now. Anyways, my it leads me to the person that's pretty much last on the bench. Will never get any playing time. Top 10 draft pick a couple of years ago, and now he's nowhere to be seen. Cam Reddish. What do you do with Cam Reddish? Honestly, I don't know who you can, because the fact is the Lakers signed what's his face or traded for another top 10 draft pick back earlier, which was Hachimura basically. So Hachimura signing with the coming to the Lakers means Reddish is definitely not going to the Lakers, so the Knicks can't trade him to the Lakers. The question is the Knicks are asking for at least 2 second-round draft picks for Reddish, considering that when they traded for Reddish, I think they were hoping with Reddish and Barrett that they could lure Zion to the Knicks, but that's not happening, of course. If I'm the Knicks, I don't know what else to do with Cam Reddish, but maybe open that possibility, explore a little bit, maybe trade Cam Reddish to the Pelicans. Why? Honestly, let Cam Reddish go with the Pelicans. He might do really well with the Pelicans, honestly. And the Pelicans are in a state right now where they've lost 10 straight. I think I don't think they're desperate, but they're definitely want to surround them with more players, and they have a lot of draft capital as well too. To be quite honest, they have a lot of draft capital. So for me, with the Knicks, I know they have a lot of draft capital as well too, but it doesn't hurt to have more draft capital. Why? Because at that point you could use that draft capital to get some serious players at that point in return after the season ends. So I would say if they could trade Cam Reddish to the Pelicans, I trade him to the Pelicans. Maybe get some draft picks from the Pelicans in return. One of their some of their drafts that they have. Chances are you're not going to get a first round unless it's one of the protected first round draft pick. But trade them, and hopefully maybe two factors. One, with that draft pick you got from the Pelicans, use that with something else, and maybe trade Fournier or maybe quickly to another team to get back a serious first round draft pick, or to some players, a player that could help you in the long term. Quickly is another factor too, but now he's becoming a staple in the Knicks. Specifically, the fact that he's someone that you need now. But I'm honestly thinking maybe just trade quickly. You already have Quentin Grimes. Rose could probably play off here and there. So long as you have Grimes, I think you're good enough at that point. Yeah, trade off Cam Reddish. Why? Two factors. One is hopefully getting that draft, and the Knicks could then use that draft pick with a few other draft picks that they have, and maybe player to get someone in return. And two, the aspect of for Cam Reddish, I kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, he was a top tier, not top tier, but he was one of those top Duke players during during RJ Barrett, Barrett's and Zion's tenure, that maybe use Reddish with Zion, maybe reunite him. Reddish might play up to his potential. Honestly, the question is what do you do with Obi Toppin then at that point? I mean, Obi Toppin, you need that athleticism, but the thing is, under Thibodeau's schema, I hate to say it, but you might have to trade off Toppin to some other team at this point as well too. Thibodeau, it doesn't look like Toppin will play the full 40 minutes or such. He's not your full starter. I'd love to have him as a starter, keep him as a starter. He's too athletic to not keep on there, but I think you might have to trade him. Maybe trade him to the Bucks, honestly. I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks, or for that matter, maybe to the Wizards. I don't know. Get some draft capital there as well, too, to be quite honest. I don't know how you're going to get rid of Fournier. Fournier's, no one's going to want Fournier. And the fact that the Knicks re-signed him was a mistake in and of itself as well, too. But that's a different story. But in any case, I don't know what to say or what to do. I mean, honestly, Dolan as a owner, he's a fool. Rose, being a former former agent, it's hard to say. But, at least he brought in Thibodeau. And he was able to sign Brunson, which he knew he needed. At least he recognized that. But I don't know. I would probably, like I said, trade Reddish for, of course, to the Pelicans, and maybe Toppin to the Bucks. Those two, they might thrive under their system at that point too, honestly. Or maybe trade Toppin to the Utah Jazz. Actually, the Utah Jazz, they're on a somewhat free fall, but you know what? Utah might need him, and he might do really. I mean, I know for a fact, not for a fact, but I'm pretty sure Tobin would thrive in Utah's playing scheme basically in their whole not forum, but more of like their entire form of like how they play basically their offensive and defense. Well, more of their offensive scheme more than anything else. I think Tobin would probably thrive on the Utah's offense. If not Utah, then maybe maybe Minnesota too. I mean, honestly, he could do really well there too. But honestly, I think it makes sense to either trade him to the Washington Wizards. I'm sorry I said the Bucks, but honestly, he probably wouldn't work out well in the Bucks, even though he could theoretically. But in reality, I think it'd make more sense for him to go either to the Wizards or Utah, basically. More often, I would say Utah. He'd probably thrive under Utah. And same with Reddish. I think Reddish going with the Pelicans, I think he might do really well with the Pelicans at that point. And these two might play up to their expectations of what they were drafted for, and work off of that. And the thing is, the Knicks could get some. I wouldn't mind getting some draft capital. Honestly, it's having too much draft capital. It doesn't hurt you in the long term, honestly. So I would love to get some draft capital in return for that. But with that, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Again, leave your thoughts in the comments. I do read them. I'll try to respond to them when I get notified, as I said, and when I do have the time. And also at the same time, please subscribe. I want to say here, if you're watching through the browser. If not, subscribe. I think here. I don't know exactly where you would subscribe, but anyways, please subscribe. If I get 1,000 users, at least I'll be able to live stream through my phone. And I do like to live stream rather than doing these staged recordings and then uploading them. Why? Because honestly, if I can live stream, I can live stream outdoors where I'm at, and I could show you guys also where I'm at that point as well too. To be honest, because as I mentioned in prior videos in the past, my style is basically freebasing, going unrehearsed, rather than not using edits. The only way is I'm using like some filtration or some sort of background or something of that nature is more if I'm reviewing a product or to something tech wise basically. So that's more than anything. Talking about sports or politics, even though I'm trying to avoid that, but more of like sports in general and other stuff unrelated. You know what? I will try to live stream it more than anything else. But in any case, I'll leave it at that. Until next time, unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed. See you.